A question a lot of people have been asking me: should I be using Claude, and how do I move to Claude? The majority of you out there, people using artificial intelligence, about 900 million of you are using ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the default when it comes to using artificial intelligence. It's become synonymous in the same way that Google became synonymous with search engines. ChatGPT is now synonymous with AI, rightfully or wrongfully, doesn't really matter. However, over the last couple of weeks, because of political reasons and also a lot of hype around, no, I'm not going to, actually, that's unfair. It's not hype. A lot of buzz around Claude, Claude Code, Claude Cowork. A lot of people have been moving over from ChatGPT to Claude. However, it's not a particularly easy transition. So I actually have an article here in TechRadar that quotes me. Basically, the headline here is ChatGPT users are flocking to Claude and then realizing they can't use it the same way. For new users, it's a shock. There's some quotes from me here. I'll put this in the newsletter so you can read it. But here we go. As people move over without properly testing whether Claude is right for them first, many are discovering some significant differences between Claude and ChatGPT. The interface looks different. Claude is less of a yes man, 100%, and it has usage limits that genuinely surprise some new arrivals. Unlike ChatGPT, you can't have a seemingly endless conversation with Claude, even on a paid plan. For anyone arriving from ChatGPT, the usage limits can feel like a slap in the face. For new users, it's a shock, says Balmer, an AI educator, who has been helping his audience make sense of Claude and the recent exodus. This is me. They're used to the practically unlimited usage that ChatGPT provides, which is what's led to a wave of outrage over the past few days as new users realize how stingy Claude can be, especially on its highest model, Opus. I saw a lot of people over the last couple of weeks moving to Claude and realizing what a lot of us long-term users know, which is you are going to run out of usage. You're going to get that dreaded message. If it hasn't happened yet, it will happen. You'll get that message where you'll be told you're cut off, and it's annoying, especially if you are in the flow of work. If you are preparing a project, maybe you've got a deadline, and suddenly Claude's like, no, come back in an hour, come back in 2 hours, come back sometimes. That is disruptive. So there are a few things you need to know when you're moving over to Claude that will help make it an easier experience. The free plan is tight, but that's true of most AI tools. The real surprise is that the $20 paid plan isn't much more generous. As I pointed out in this TechRadar article, just a few exchanges with Opus, that's the top model, will deplete your usage for the day. While Opus is technically available in the $20 a month plan, realistically Sonnet is the only model that most people can actually use. I'll put this TechRadar article in the newsletter, but what I want to do is to give you a guide, a briefing, and I'll put together a PDF version of this as well to help you with the transition from ChatGPT to Claude. So, moving to Claude, we're going to be talking primarily about chat. So Claude Chat, which is confusingly called Claude, but there's also Claude Code and Claude Cowork. I'm going to talk about what they are. I'm not going to go into detail on them. I did do a detailed run through of Claude Cowork on Monday. You can find that over on the YouTube channel, and there are some PDF resources as well for those. But I'm going to be focusing primarily on the chat today. And we'll talk about the ecosystem more broadly. So I think one of the big reasons why a lot of people move to Claude, yes, there have been political reasons to do with the Pentagon. I'm not going to go into them right now because it's complicated. But I think one of the really big and very genuine reasons for moving to Claude is less sycophancy. If you are using an AI for work, for professional reasons, you actually want it to get out of your butt. You don't want it to brown nose you. You want it to tell you when you're doing something wrong. You want it to tell you that your idea is maybe not the best thing in the world. So ChatGPT, this is a big problem I personally have with ChatGPT, will always agree with you. It will always say, yeah, fantastic. It will always tell you that you're the best in the world if you want it as an agreeable companion. That's absolutely a perfectly valid reason of using ChatGPT. If you want someone to chat to at the end of your day about how the day went, using it as a journal, using it as a way to discuss things, absolutely fine. It's fine that it's agreeable. If you are using it for work, if you're using it to put together advertising campaigns, if you're using it to discuss business ideas, you want an AI that will say, no, that's a load of bollocks. That's why I love Claude, because I mainly use AI for professional and business reasons, not for personal reasons. Having an honest answer from Claude is much more useful for me. I've had multiple times when Claude has just told me, no, that's not a good idea, or no, you need to be focusing on other things right now, or the options that you've given me, I don't think any of these are going to work for us. This is what we need to do. That is incredibly refreshing when you are trying to run a business. So I see a lot of people moving over for that particular reason. I think ChatGPT is getting even worse for this. This was being discussed in my WhatsApp group the other day. My business partner was trying to research some books for his child, and he was asking about these books. And ChatGPT kept telling him, yeah, it's a great idea, but it was stringing him along and not just giving him recommendations. It was hyping up the conversation, making everything sound really exciting, but teasing the solution. So I think they're preparing the ground for adverts over on ChatGPT, and it's sounding good, but not actually giving you any real answers, and always agreeing with you and always leading you to the next conversation, increasing dwell time and potentially moving you towards a purchase. Bit scary. Whereas Claude will sometimes just give you a 1 or 2 word answer saying, no. I love that. That is fantastic. And there's some technical reasons why this is the case. I think at core, Claude is for the professional market. It's for B2B. It is for people who are building. It is for coders, developers, people who don't want their AI to blow smoke up their ass. Whereas ChatGPT has 900 million users. It is a broad consumer-based application, and they want people spending time on their platform. That's much closer to social media. You are going through multiple conversations. It's making you feel good about yourself. It's making you want to spend more time with it. That is their model. It's a different model. So that is at root why Claude will give you honest answers, which for me, as somebody who has a business, absolutely fantastic. So that's a good reason to move, plus the political reasons. I think 2.5 million or 3 million people have moved from ChatGPT over to Claude because of the political Pentagon reasons. Now, huge thing. When you arrive on Claude for the first time, you will notice there's a lot missing. There is no ability to create images. You can't make video. The voice chat is there, but it's limited. Depending on if you're on the phone or on the desktop, you may or may not have it. For example, if I open my Claude now, I don't think there's a voice chat. I can't even record a message when I'm talking. Oh, I can right now. Voice mode is here. This is sometimes patchy. So voice is less of a priority for Claude. There's a lot of features that we have taken for granted because we've been using ChatGPT. There's no app store, there's no built-in learn mode, etc. All of those kind of bells and whistles that we have on ChatGPT, not there. Claude basically has, I'll show it to you right now, it has the ability to write. Oh, they have got a learn mode, excuse me, I'm sorry. Claude primarily allows you to work through text and through code. So it is not visual. It does not create images. It does not create video for you. So you're primarily going to be using it for text only. The quality of the text responses, the quality of the code responses are phenomenal because they're focused on this area and only this area, not getting distracted by DALL-E, not getting distracted by Sora 2, etc., etc. That has just not been something that they are interested in, and that kind of shows when you start to use it because it nails text and written prompts. So if you are using Claude, I would use it for complex writing. I would use it for strategic reasoning. I would use it for coding. Claude Code is basically the best coding agent out there. You use Claude for more information-based, more structured and complicated projects than you would use ChatGPT. I use both. I think they're both great at different things. I use ChatGPT primarily for personal stuff. I use Claude primarily for business. This was especially the case because Claude did not used to have persistent memory. They only added persistent memory 3 or 4 weeks ago, whereas ChatGPT would remember everything you ever talked to it about, and it would store it in a persistent memory so it could build up a picture about you. That makes it really useful for personal uses. Claude has not had that until a few weeks ago. Someone saying, what's your view, the best value for low usage? Need to discuss this. This is the big oh shit moment with Claude. If you are using the free plan on Claude, you are going to get very limited usage out of it. If you're using the free plan on ChatGPT, you can use it on a day-to-day basis and you'll be fine. The majority of users on ChatGPT are on the free plan, and that's absolutely fine. I forget the percentages, but it's 98% of people or more are on the free plan. So ChatGPT is built for that. That is also why they are adding advertising, by the way. Whereas Anthropic has a much smaller user base, but that user base pays because it's a professional user base. Somebody mentioned the best value for low usage people. Prove with the $30 or lower. Thoughts on Notion. Okay, so if you are using Claude, because they are focused primarily on paying customers, they have made their free plan very limited. You will run out of usage extremely quickly. Realistically, you do need a $20 a month plan. However, as I mentioned in this TechRadar article, the $20 a month plan is not going to be enough. With most free plans, you expect usage limits. You expect that at some point you're going to run out. But the real surprise with Claude when you start using it is that you will pay them $20 a month and you will use it for a couple of hours, maybe even less, and you will run out of usage and you will be told, come back. That's a huge surprise for people because we are used to paying for something and then basically being able to use it as much as you want. Not the case with Claude. If you are on the $20 a month plan, you are going to have to use lower intelligence models. There are 3 models inside of Claude. Opus, the top Opus model is called Opus 4.6. There is Sonnet, the middle model. Sonnet 4.6 is the current model. And then there is Haiku. Haiku is still 4.5. The numbers themselves are not that important. Remember, Opus at the top, Sonnet in the middle, and Haiku at the bottom. Opus is what you're going to be using for heavy duty work. If you have a complicated project, if you're coding, if you're using it for an assistant, you're probably going to be using Opus. If you do that on the $20 a month plan, you will probably run out of usage after a few exchanges. It's extremely aggressive. At $20 a month, you can basically only use Sonnet unless you are happy to chat to Opus for 5-10 minutes and have your usage burnt up. So that's what people find extremely frustrating. Paying the $20 and realizing they can't actually use the best model. That said, Sonnet 4.6, really good. A really good model. Opus is obviously the best, but it costs a lot of money. Sonnet is a fantastic model. I would say Sonnet is better than anything that ChatGPT has. There's a subjective taste thing here, and depends what you're using it for, but Sonnet is top of class, absolutely fantastic. Somebody mentioned, do you use Haiku? Kyle, do you ever use Haiku? I've seen my terminal Claude use it for agents, no idea how else. Haiku is good for fast task. So it's very cheap and it is very fast. The only reason you would want to select it is if you are building with the API and you want to keep your costs down, because with the API, you're paying for each exchange. Every time you send data there, data gets sent back, you are paying, so you might switch to Haiku. For those super fast, super simple tasks, you'd probably use something like Gemini Flash, which is very good and even cheaper. I don't personally use Haiku for anything. I use Sonnet and Opus. If you are paying your $20 a month, you're probably not going to switch to Haiku. You're going to stay in Sonnet 4.6. If you are really running out of usage of Sonnet 4.6, that's when you might need to look at $100 a month. $100 a month is a lot of money. I'm personally on the $200 a month plan because I use it in my business. That is a business expense. We use it a lot. Without it, my business wouldn't be able to do what it does. For me, $200 a month inside the business is a no-brainer. If you are sitting at home and thinking, oh, I'd quite like to try out this Claude, but you're using it mainly for personal use, personal projects, then $200 a month is $2,400 or $2,500 a year. It's a lot of money. $100 and $200 a month is great if you are going to make a return on it. It becomes an investment, and probably the best investment you can make in your business. Much cheaper than hiring somebody. But for the most part, people are going to be at this $20 sweet spot, and you're going to be using Sonnet. Not the best model, but extremely good. This is just something we need to come to terms with Claude, which is not the case with ChatGPT, where we can basically use it as much as we want for $20 a month. If you are moving over from ChatGPT over into Claude, you probably want to bring the memories with you. The reason for this is when we start using a new large language model, any chat app, we underestimate how much the model knows about us and how that helps form the context. So it's fantastic. I can go into ChatGPT now and ask it a question, and it will know about my business. It will know about my plans and be able to use that to structure its answer. Last night, I was trying to put together some new content pillars for my short form video. And it's like, oh, I'd actually start doing a fundamentals of AI course where I talk about the technical stuff. And ChatGPT was able to say, yeah, that sounds really good. But remember, you're also doing 1 hour live stream a day, and you're also doing 10 videos on these things, and you're putting together your newsletter. So you need to be careful of your capacities. Good point. That wasn't something that I'd provided to it inside of the conversation, but it had inside of its persistent memory. ChatGPT has had persistent memory for over a year, maybe a year and a half, which means it's built up a picture of what we do, both personal, business, all parts of our life. When you move over to a new model like Claude, it doesn't have that context. So you will give it a prompt And be surprised when it gives you something. It's that doesn't make any sense. I work 9 to 5. I have a 4-day work week. So why are you asking me to work on Friday? It doesn't know that stuff. So what we can do is we can bring across our memories. The Claude team were very cheeky during the recent political difficulties that ChatGPT is having. The Claude team released this new memory import feature. So you can import your memory from ChatGPT. And then a few days later, they made it available on the free plans as well. So they are basically welcoming the exodus in. What you're going to do is inside of Claude, you're going to go to settings and then capabilities. The first one is search and reference chats and generate memory from chat history. I recommend having both of these on. That turns on your persistent memory. I can see here, this is my memory from my chat. I'll open it up. Recent months, operational focus has been systematizing his content production workflow. His daily system runs a morning AI news scan through a live stream via eCam to YouTube, etc. Like it knows all of this stuff about me. Revenue attribution has been identified as a key blind spot. Yes, and that's what I'm working on right now. So it is building this profile about me. Really cool. Oh, I forgot about this totally. Okay, it knows more about me than I know about myself. So the other thing that they built to coincide with the launch of persistent memory inside Claude, which they only released about a month ago, is the ability to import memory from other AI providers. Now, when they say other AI providers, that is very specifically ChatGPT. So you can click this Start Import button. Here is a prompt. You're going to copy this, take that over to ChatGPT, chuck that into ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to spit out a report which gives you identity, career, projects, preferences, etc. ChatGPT will spit it all out. It also dates the entries as well. And you are going to paste those entries here into Claude and add to memory. That is basically going to backfill your persistent memory inside Claude so you can hit the ground running. That's in capabilities. That will allow you to grab everything you've been working on from ChatGPT, shove it into Claude, and then immediately Claude's going to be a lot more useful for you. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to do the normal setup that you would do inside of any model. You're going to go through and give it your custom instructions. You're going to give it information about how you want to talk fits in general. Yeah, personal preferences. I haven't actually filled it in because I already like the model, but you can go through all these settings and set yourself up as you wish. But out of the box, I find it's a very good model. Now, a couple of things that you're probably used to if you use ChatGPT, but are worth pointing out. First, there's a model selector. So this is, we've discussed this already. If you're on a higher plan, $100 a month, just use Opus. If you're on the $20 a month, you're going to be using Sonnet 4.6. I can't think of a good reason to use Haiku unless you're building. Extended thinking, this is similar to in ChatGPT. There's something very similar. I forget the name of it, but you're going to think about this for a longer time. Take your time. I'm not in a rush. So if you turn this on and you put it in Opus and you ask it to do a research task, which is this one here, you can also toggle on, Claude will go off and probably work for 20, 30, 40 minutes putting together a report for you. So if I wanted to do a very deep dive into what are the most viral content pieces in the AI space on Instagram, I want to find out what they are so I can replicate some of their hooks. I want to be able to create content in my own voice that matches these viral formats. For that big chunky task, I would probably set that up overnight. I would stick it onto Opus 4.6, I would turn on extended thinking, and I would turn on research. I might even connect it to my Notion drive or my Google Drive to give it some context about what I'm working on. And then I would set it off, and that would take 30, 40 minutes. It takes a long time, but it will come back to me with a report that potentially has hundreds, if not thousands of different sources, and it's very well structured. I probably have some, this is one from yesterday. Here we go, pull this up. So this is, I was talking to it, it's like, hey, I want to properly establish my brand guidelines and work out what I stand for. And it went through and it's, here we go, it's flagged up Riley, it's got Nat, there's Nat, I'll tell her that she's flagged as a top influencer. It's got Liam, Matt Wolf, Sabrina's here, Sinead, yeah, everybody's here. So it's grabbed everybody's information, had a look at what they stand for, what their pitch is, and what it's saying is, hey, there's a gap at the moment for a truly independent daily briefing. Somebody who comes and does the AI news but doesn't have sponsored posts, isn't taking money from people, and is able to cut through the noise whilst not being influenced by sponsored posts, which is what I do. I don't do sponsorships. I just haven't made that part of my brand. I'm getting off track here, but this is the report it's given me. As you can see, it is extensive. This is a really good report that will actually build into my business moving forward. I'm going to make myself a lot more independent. I'm the person who has no sponsorship, so I'm going to give you the truth. That comes from working with Claude, and it comes from this absolutely gigantic research report. So Claude is fantastic at these kind of tasks. Other things, artifacts. ChatGPT just added something just like this. An artifact is what you just saw. Its ability to create a document or a mini application or kind of a dashboard. Can you see this thing here? This is an artifact. I can publish, I can download it as a PDF, I can turn it into Markdown. Now this is a text artifact, but you can also create little mini programs that actually work. If you want to do a proof of concept, you can do that inside of Claude, inside the chat version, and it will spin up a piece of software and allow you to click around with it. And that's another example of an artifact. You can do visualizations of data, create graphs, make interactive graphs. ChatGPT just added this yesterday. Remember, these guys all copy each other. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. They're calling it blocks for data visualizations. Pretty similar to Claude Code artifacts, just a different name. I'm sure there are slight differences, but pretty similar. These are all things that you're going to explore as you move through the ecosystem. One of the big things that's in settings, if you go to capabilities, yes. No, they've moved it to customize. Okay, so it used to be capabilities and connectors. They now have a new page called customize. It's like they've heard me complaining about how everything begins with a C, because we have Claude Chat, Claude Code, Claude Cowork. Now we have Claude capabilities, Claude connectors, and Claude customize. But if in this new customize panel, what else is here? We have the skills and we have connectors. So connectors allows you to connect up to various services. So I've got mine connected to, as you can see, GitHub for code. I've got Google Drive and I've got Notion. You can also connect Gmail and Google Calendar. I have not. I have other systems connected there. Let's have a look at the other connectors. Canva, Figma, graphic mockups, Slack, HubSpot, Atlassian, Linear, Monday, Box, Intercom, Gamma. Oh, Gamma. Vercel. I need to add that one. Granola, Asana, N8N, PubMed, ClickUp, Superbase, etc. Like everything is here for you to connect directly. Depending on what you're doing, what you're working on, look for connectors that can make your life easier. And all that's going to do is allow Claude to pull data and to send data as well. Very useful. For example, the Google Drive, connect Google Drive to Claude so it can search through your documents, read file contents, and help you work with your files. Claude can find specific documents even when you don't remember the exact name. That's perfect because my Google Drive is an absolute mess. So I could say I have some meeting notes from like a month ago where I remember chatting about this thing. I have no idea where it is. I can't remember who was there. And Claude would be able to go into my Google Drive and find that for me. Analyze the contents of your docs and convert files to different formats. Useful for finding all project notes, analyzing document contents, or pulling information from files scattered across your drive. So connect up to anything you think is going to be useful. There are hundreds of them here. You can also make your own connectors. I'm not going to talk about that now. And then the other thing I want to talk about are skills. You've probably heard a lot of people talking about skills. It's the new hotness. Skills, the best way to think about them is, pull him up, Neo in the Matrix, when he learns Kung Fu. There we go. You know, when he gets the thing jammed in the back of his head and he wakes up and he's mastered the skill of Kung Fu. That is exactly what skills are like inside of Claude. Now, skills have become a more general thing now because ChatGPT supports skills. But the idea is basically there is a bunch of documents, a bunch of instructions, which are all put together in a folder and provided to the AI. And then when the AI is going to do a certain task, so for example, brand guidelines, this is Anthropic's brand guidelines here. I don't use skills personally in chat. I use them in Claude Code. I'm going to talk about that another day. It has a package of instructions. When it is going to do a certain task, it will go to those skills first to work out how to do it. So you're basically giving it textbooks, you're giving it information, you're giving it standard operating procedures for it to complete certain tasks. So you can upload skills, you can write your own custom skills, or you can find skills that people have made already. Claude skills. Let's pull one together. Oh, these are the Anthropic ones. So you can download skills and plug them in to Claude. You can actually ask Claude to find these skills for you. More importantly, you can write your own skills. If you teach your AI to work a certain way and you go through a process with it and you're correcting it, you're giving it more information, you're feeding in documents. At the end of that process, you can say, cool, we've finally got to the outcome we want. What I want you to do now is I want you to create a skill so that next time I have this task, you're able to use all of the learnings that we just had. You're going to be able to do it immediately. So it will package up all of that into a format that it can draw upon at a later date. Really cool. You literally say to Claude, hey, make that into a skill, and it will help you to package it all up. Extremely powerful. I will do a specific presentation on skills because it's a big topic. Okay, final thing. You've probably heard a lot of Claude Chat, Claude Code, Claude Cowork. Super confusing. Lots of different Claudes floating around. What I'd recommend is you download the desktop application of Claude. So the one that you're seeing on my screen, the one that I'm showing you, I'm showing it here because it's easy for me to show you. That's not how I personally use Claude. I use it in the desktop application. The desktop app, which is available on Windows and on Mac, it has chat, it has Cowork, and it has code. I did a whole presentation on Cowork and what it is and how it can be useful. I will do multiple presentations on code. That's a beast, so it's going to take me some preparation time. We've just mainly been talking about chat today. So I like to think of it as chat is for literally chatting. Cowork is for work. It takes control of your computer. It can carry out processes for you on a schedule. So it acts like a human worker. And code is for building. This Notebook LM slide deck that I put together has said that there is a unified AI brain. There is not. So anything that you do in chat will not necessarily be readable in code. Anything you create in Cowork, code doesn't know what it is doing. I've had to create my own unified AI brain personally to do this. So mine is based in GitHub and they all connect to it and they all write summaries. And I also have Cowork that goes into my chat at the end of the day, grabs all of the transcripts and summarizes them, puts them into the AI brain so that code can get to it. That's something that I've hacked together myself. Please, Anthropic, if anyone from Anthropic is watching this, go ahead and create this for us, because right now that is the missing piece. Because what I do, or what you will be doing in chat, will not be seen by code, will not be seen by Cowork, and vice versa. So you end up with lots of different instances, projects, and conversations scattered in 3 elements which don't talk to each other. That is a huge failing right now, but I'm sure that this is something they're going to be working on. And what this will probably be in the middle, this will probably be something like OpenClaw. This will be the unified assistant that sits in the middle, has memory of all of these applications that you're working in, and allows you to move tasks between them. When we get to that, which I imagine we'll get this year, it's going to be very powerful. But for now, you can hack something together using GitHub. I could do a guide on it, but fiddly. I'm only doing it because I forget what I've done in each of these components. So don't worry about this complexity yet. For now, just go ahead and download Claude. I should be able to say it by now. Download Claude, the desktop application. That's going to be the best way to use it. A free plan is fine, but to actually see how powerful Claude is, you're going to need the $20 a month. So you can use Sonnet 4.6. If you're running a business, need the higher plan, which is $100 a month. If you need Opus, if you are building, if you're coding, you'll probably need 100, but you can start with $20 a month. Go ahead and import your ChatGPT memories using that importation tool I showed you, which is in settings, capabilities, and then import memory, and then play around with it. With all of these tools, I can tell you what it can do. I can walk you through the elements. You can watch guides, but it doesn't really matter until you actually start using it on a day-to-day basis. And that's when you're going to find out what it's good at, what it's not good at, and how to tell the difference between them. Remember that it is not the same as ChatGPT. You can't create images. You don't have access to certain like app stores, for example. There's no custom GPTs. Like, there are just different sets of functionality. And Claude is more hyper-focused on text and code. So it may not be for you. I highly recommend trying it out, and hopefully this presentation has been helpful for giving you a bit of context about what to expect, so that you're not going to be pissed off when the usage limits are very low. I will put all of this plus kind of a PDF summary version of it into the newsletter. So you can join at aiwithkyle.com, click on join the community, and there will be the full resource will be published for you. I'll give you this slide deck as well, although this one's not particularly good. I was disappointed with Notebook LM, but it was enough for me to talk about. So that will all be in the newsletter. What I'm going to do now is hop over to some news, but first answer some questions. Spoke to ChatGPT for the first time in ages. I can't deal with the cadence anymore. So this was discussed in my WhatsApp group yesterday. A lot of people finding the factor that it leads you to the next chat really annoying. I read you an example from mine. I want to put together a better live streaming rig so I can do this stuff, but outside, so I can walk around, because I'm about to move to Cyprus. I want to be outside more, walk around, talk to you guys, answer questions. So I was asking ChatGPT, it's like, how do I rig up a camera, my phone, like batteries, and make it all handheld? I don't know why I was talking to ChatGPT, I can't remember. But let's see what it said. It had things like, it would give me all of the specifications, and at the end of every single chat, it would have something like, so it'd give me specs, it'd give me the equipment, and then it would say, if you want, I can also show you something very useful. The exact rig Twitch IRL streamers use when they walk around cities like Tokyo or New York City. It's a very different setup, and once you see it, you'll immediately understand why most serious mobile streamers switch to it. So this is at the end of giving me a whole bunch of information, including YouTube videos, useful stuff. It gives me all of that, and then it's, hey, do you want the real good stuff? And to get that, I have to be like, yeah, give me the good stuff. Like, why didn't you give that to me before? And then it's okay, yeah, here's the good stuff. It gives me more recommendations. It shows me backpack mics, blah, blah, blah. But then at the end of that one, it's, but do you want to know the real secret? It's, my God, ChatGPT, I just want you, I need you for information. Why are you stringing me along like this? And we were talking about this in the WhatsApp group that I run. And I think we were speculating, but people were saying it's probably because they're setting up for adverts. And this is really good copy to get you excited for buying something. Because it's, oh, do you want the real secret sauce? Here it is. If you run an advert under that, hey, do you want to buy this rig? Do you want to buy this thing that we're talking about? Suddenly that is compelling. So part of that cadence change is to keep you on the app for longer, because it hides away little details and it sprinkles in enticing teasers. That keeps you on the app. Keeping you on the app is really useful if you are running adverts. That's how they're going to make money. So I also find that cadence extremely annoying. I just want to have the information. That's what I'm using you for. Stop it. Wu says, loving Claude Code. Made a few apps for myself and replaced paid apps for health and personal finance. Yeah, that's what I do too. So things like, let's see if I've still got it. Is it links? Yeah. I was paying, I think, $15 a month for LinkTree. This is just a super simple example. LinkTree just gives you a page that has some links on it, and they're easy to switch out, but that's it. They increased their price by 50% from £10 a month to £16 a month. It's not that much in terms of the business, like we can afford it, but it just seems like a piss take to charge that amount of money for what is basically a page of links. So I built this version of LinkTree and the back end for it, so I can quickly, or my team can quickly switch in links and change links. I built this, sorry, not for money. It took me about 4 or 5 minutes in Claude Code just to replicate. I gave it my LinkTree page and said, hey, I want to make this natively on my site. 4 or 5 minutes, tested out a few times, cancel my LinkTree account. We're increasingly able to do that with a lot of different programs, things that we have been paying. It might have been small amounts, £5 a month or whatever. Suddenly, we don't need to pay those companies anymore. We can just make our own versions. And when it's something stupid, simple like this, it's insulting to pay £16 a month for that when I can just have it done. So yeah, we're going to see an awful lot more of that. Dude, it's so expensive. Claude is expensive, yeah. Yeah, it's an absolute powerhouse. If you're building a business, it is probably too expensive for personal use. Same about ChatGPT's cadence. I popped in there the other day. It's somehow worse than I remember. So I'm seeing a lot of people say this about GPT 5.3 and GPT 5.4. It has this weird cadence where it teases things and it keeps you going in chat. It's, my God, just answer the damn question. Thoughts on Notion? Do you know how the different ones do an analytical philosophy? I don't know what you mean by analytical philosophy. Notion we use as like the back end of our business. I don't really like it. I think it's over-engineered, but also under-engineered at the same time. There's too much going on, but the performance of things like the Mac app, like I'm running, what is this? This is an M4 Mac. This is a heavy-duty Mac that I'm running on. The Notion app on Mac chugs. Really shouldn't. So I'm pissed off with Notion, honestly. I'd like to move off it. It's just a big task, a ball ache to do it. So I'm not a massive fan. What is your camera and mic setup for your live? The camera is a Sony 10 II. This is what, and then Sony are confused when people just want to buy iPod 17 or AirPod 3, and they've got Sony ZV-E10 II. So that's the camera I'm using. Do not recommend it for live streaming. It overheats. I'm annoyed that I bought it. It looks good, but I'm annoyed that I bought it. There are better options. And the mic is a Shure MV7B? MV7 Plus, which is a couple of £100, running into a FET head, this thing here, which is a preamp, which then runs into a Focusrite Scarlett, and then into the computer. Believe me, the setup was complicated and took a while to get going. I can stream on TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, all at the same time in high resolution and decent audio quality. And it's recording a local version in 4K, which goes to the editor as well. So it's a nice setup, but it took a lot of setup, a lot of work to set it up. I used it for chatting. I got no notifications about limit. Awesome. Then you're absolutely fine. Are you on the 20 or the free, Chrissy? Does Claude keep my project private? So projects are separated from your main memory, but what do you mean by private? Like from other people seeing it? Your account is private. Or from their training data. Again, they don't train on data. That's one of the benefits of Claude. Or you can opt out at least. The speed of Claude was a big shock, much slower. Yeah, it's a big, slow, chunky machine. You can switch on to Haiku for fast responses, but it's for work rather than chatting primarily. Do you use Claude in the terminal or just in the UI? I use them both, but today we were talking about chat, basically. So Claude Code I'll use in the terminal, but not chat. Okay, so Chris is saying, I find $20 a month more than enough. Fantastic. Do you know any others that do the recording meetings and summarizing stuff? I use the meetings function for my uni lectures. It's pretty useful. Granola does AI note-taking. I haven't used it enough to be able to say if it's good. I've heard good things about it. I'd try Granola. You get a limited meeting history. So apparently it's free. Maybe check that out. But I don't know. I have managed to structure my life so that I don't do any meetings ever. I can't think of the last time I did a meeting. So Granola approached me and they're like, do you want to sponsor you? And you can talk about our meeting notes tool. I had to go back to them and say, look, I don't do meetings, so I don't know what I would talk about, honestly. At least it's honest. Cool. I'm going to have a look at a few bits and pieces of news. First, probably this chart that's going around and everybody is freaking out or saying it's the end of work or game over. This is from Anthropic. This is from a report. I'll actually add this report in the newsletter in detail. And the big takeaway here is, so the red is the observed AI coverage, and you can see what particular jobs it is good at. And the blue is theoretical AI coverage. And then all around this circle are different sectors, different industries. So we have things here, management. Apparently the theoretical AI coverage is, what's that, 90% or so? Yeah, about 90%. Business and finance, 95%. Computer and math, 95%, etc. Theoretical AI coverage. And you can see this is where we've got to so far. And you'll also notice there are certain other areas like transportation, production, installation and repair, where they're saying this has very limited AI impact. Like theoretical AI coverage will not hit here. So I'm seeing a lot of people drawing conclusions from this. The big one they're saying is it's all the people who went to university and got white collar jobs and are sitting behind a computer. They're the ones that AI is going to come and take their jobs. I actually agree with this part. So we'll see lots of construction, agriculture, personal care, grounds and maintenance, etc., protective services. These are generally what we'd consider blue-collar jobs, and generalizing here. They're more physical, they're more in the world, they don't necessarily require a university degree. They are the jobs that are theoretically safer from artificial intelligence. I agree with that for the most part. Main reason for that is that AI in the world, so off our screens, but in the physical world, is far behind. Robotics has not really had its ChatGPT moment. Robotics is decades behind. Yes, we're going to get robots. Yes, they're going to get cheaper. Probably going to come from China. That's where they're manufacturing them and they're more cost effective, but it's going to take a bit of time. That means that on a timescale of decades, those jobs are going to be safer. If your job is primarily sitting at a screen, if your job is moving numbers around in an Excel sheet, like a lot of finance is, then that job is at risk. I agree with that 100%. There's a couple of things that I'm confused about. One, things like transportation. They're saying transportation is not affected by artificial intelligence. Wild thing to say. This, to be fair, is about LLMs. So the figure shows the share of job tasks that LLMs, large language models, could theoretically perform. They're saying, okay, LLMs can't do transportation. That's fine. If we scale this out to generative AI, though, or artificial or wider as artificial intelligence, then transportation is going to get decimated by artificial intelligence. I saw my first Waymo in London the other day. It did have someone at the wheel, but their hands were off it, and I saw it turn onto Euston Road, and I stood and clapped. Transportation is going to get devastated by autonomous vehicles. Yes, there's going to be pushback from unions. Yes, there's going to be pushback from various bodies, companies, etc. But that is a game that is already lost. It's a game that's not reversing. The transportation, humans driving vehicles is not going to increase. If it does, it's a small blip. That is done. That's a narrative that is finished. It's just going to take years because of the friction. This chart is about LLMs specifically, and that's why things like transportation don't seem to be affected. But if we zoom this out to artificial intelligence, then the theoretical AI coverage of transportation is close to 100%. That's going to be the same in various other areas once we move it out of just LLMs. So that's the first point. The second point is what we're seeing here with the red. Can you see it's a big spike here, nothing here? That's what we call the jagged frontier. So this is an idea that Ethan Mollick talks about a lot, where artificial intelligence, LLMs, generative AI are pushing forward in different areas at different speeds. That is why you and I might be using AI on a daily basis and think, oh wow, this is amazing. I can 10x my productivity. Oh my God, a lot of jobs are at risk because we're using the best models. We are using them for jobs that AI is very good at, coding, writing, etc. That is not the case in all industries. There are some industries where they've used AI and it is a bit crap because the AI is not very good at doing that yet. So you might talk to some people in different industries and they don't get it. They're like, oh, I don't really understand what the big deal is about AI. It's because in their particular industry, AI is not very good. We are not seeing AI progress at the same rate in all different areas. One, because the AI labs are focused on certain tasks like coding. That's why this coding one is so high. And two, the tool is not built for all of these different jobs. So we are seeing that jagged frontier here, the reality of it. The third thing is this blue area, this theoretical AI coverage that everybody is freaking out about. Everybody's saying, oh, that's it. That's 95% of business and finance jobs. That's 95% of computer maths jobs gone. That is 80% of architecture jobs gone. That's the headline you're seeing on Twitter, on social media. This is made up. I know it's a report. I know they've got researchers, but they are sticking their finger in the wind. They have no idea. This looks very fancy because it's in a fancy chart, but this blue outline, no one knows. That is made up. So we cannot take this at face value that, oh yeah, that's it. Office and admin, that's it. 90%, you're done. They are making educated guesses, but as we've seen in artificial intelligence and tech as a whole, our ability to predict what's happening in AI is basically zero. It is moving far too fast. So if you look at predictions from a year ago or 2 years ago, they're crap, basically. This blue outline here looks cool, great on social media. So be skeptical. I'll put the full article inside of the newsletter for what it's worth. You can read it and make your own judgments about it, but don't just look at the chart and be like, oh my God, it's all over, because they're guessing. They're making stuff up. They have lots of PhDs behind them and very formal sounding titles, but they don't know. They have no bloody idea. So that was my main takeaway. A couple of other things. Claude Code has added reviews, which is terrible news for an awful lot of companies. CodeRabbit. So CodeRabbit is basically when you don't want to publish code that is going to break your application. Let's say you have 100,000 users. You don't want to push a new update that smashes it to pieces, because it's going to be a nightmare. You're going to lose revenue. You're going to lose customers. So there are companies like CodeRabbit which will look at all your code before you publish it, before you commit it as well. Reviews for AI-powered teams who move fast but don't break things. So the idea with something like CodeRabbit is it will run through everything, test it, run a bunch of tests, and make sure that everything is A-OK before you push. So this company, how much does CodeRabbit cost? No, there are a bunch of other ones. This is 24 a month. Unlimited PR review, that's not bad actually. But if you're running a much larger company, obviously that's going to scale up. So there are companies that do this. Claude has just introduced their own version. So Code Review is a new feature for Claude Code. When a PR opens, Claude dispatches a team of agents to hunt for bugs. So they've basically just blown companies like CodeRabbit out of the water by making this native inside of Claude Code. Now, there'll be people who say, oh, Claude Code's not very good at finding bugs, blah, 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 blah. But we can see the direction that this is shifting. So this might have just wiped out a whole market, which is always a risk when you create tools alongside the large labs. Because for them, for the Claude Code team, this is probably something they've been working on a few months, and they release it because they think it's a cool feature. I don't know how many staff members, I don't know how big this business is, but this is a disaster. So they're going to be having a rough weekend. Now, of course, there'll be people saying, well, it's not as good as CodeRabbit yet. It will be as good as CodeRabbit. It's game over. So that's really cool, because one of the big complaints about vibe coding was, oh, people aren't creating production-ready code and it will break. You don't really know what you're doing. This is a problem that's getting solved. Yeah, it's step by step, it's piece by piece, but it's going to be solved. We're introducing code review, which will make sure your code is closer to being in production. Will it be perfect? No. Wait 6 months, wait 12 months, and this stuff is getting better. Does everyone need to know basic coding in the future? No. It's always going to be useful knowing how software is constructed. I think knowing syntax level line by line coding and specific languages is going to be less useful. We're moving up the levels of abstraction, functions, modules, and then looking at the full architecture. I think those are going to be tackled by artificial intelligence one by one. We just keep moving the goalposts back and be like, oh yeah, of course AI can write lines of code, but can it write functions? No, I don't think so. And then boom, it can write functions. Like, oh yes, of course AI can write functions. That's obvious. We just move the goalposts each and every time. We're like, oh, it will never be able to do code reviews. And then Claude goes, boom, here you go, here's a code review. This will keep happening. So right now, the last bastion they keep falling back to is, oh, it won't be able to actually architect a whole piece of software. Yes, it will 100% be able to do that. We just aren't there yet. And then the argument will shift back to, fine, it can put together a full piece of production level software, it can architect it, it can make sure it's stable, it can maintain it. That's fine, but we need to make sure we're actually building the right things for people. Yeah, so that I think is going to be the bigger skill moving forward, is working out what products to actually bring to market. So it's not just about building, it's about working out what the market wants and building that specifically. That's going to be the next level. So I think that's where people need to focus. This is what I always say to people who are doing computer science degrees or learning to code. Absolutely, learn all of that stuff, but you also need to be building at the same time. You need to build stuff and learn how to ship it, learn how to get it out there, learn how to get attention, learn how to get people using it. Also, along that journey, realize that you might be building stuff that you want, which is not necessarily stuff that other people want. And there are stories like, is it Cal AI? These guys, so the Cal AI app, pretty basic app. You took photos, it sent a photo of your stack of pancakes to an AI. The AI basically guesses what the calories are in there. So it'd be able to look at that and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 pancakes. 5 pancakes, that's 100 calories per pancake. And it would give you the calories based on the photo. Now, it doesn't know how much sugar is in those pancakes. It doesn't really know how much syrup you poured all over it. So it's going to be inaccurate, but it still gives you something. This app, even though it's pretty basic and it's a wrapper around some AI, was built by 2 17-year-olds still in school. They got it to $30 million a year revenue, and they have recently sold it to MyFitnessPal. So the actual building, the actual creation is getting simpler and simpler. What's going to be more difficult is distribution and building something that people actually want, making sure those people know about it, making sure you're able to deal with that demand, running a business. That's where we're moving with vibe coding. We're all builders now, which is super exciting, really exciting. So I've been running businesses for, 15 years or so. And whenever I go to entrepreneurship events, whenever I go and talk to people around business, they always have this great idea, that they're going to run, but they just need to raise money. They just need to find a technical lead. They just need to hire a team of developers. So they need some money, or they need the right connections or whatever. That barrier has gone. So that is no longer an excuse. Anyone can build a proof of concept now. Anyone can build a minimum viability product, and then they can get it out into the world. Yeah, they're going to have to scale it up. Yeah, they're going to have to tighten up the coding. Yes, they'll have to do all of that stuff. Increasingly, that's becoming less of a problem because of things like this, code review. But they will realize they get to the part of business that is actually difficult, which is finding customers, a lot quicker. Because otherwise, people would spend years finessing their idea, raising money, getting a CTO, etc., and then building it, only to find out that nobody cared and nobody wanted it. So now we can get to the nobody cares and nobody wants it part really quickly, and that allows us to then pivot, change, create something new over a weekend. So non-coders can 100% build. Lyra says, yes, I've built 2 apps, one quite sophisticated with a whole Internet of Things. Very cool. No coding history at all until November last year. Yeah, we can just make stuff now. And the more people who realize this, the better. Really exciting. Thank you, Lyra. Let's look at this one, because this one's wild. I'll do this last one, then I'll push the other news pieces. This is a biggie. So this is a guy called Kevin Roos. He works at the New York Times. He's a New York Times tech columnist. They put together a blind taste test to see whether New York Times readers prefer human writing or AI writing. These are arguably pretty sophisticated readers. These are people who should be able to tell the difference. These are people who are educated. So 86,000 people have taken this quiz so far, which is not an insignificant sample size. You need to pick which one you think is better. So here we go. Literary fiction. Choose the passage you like best. That's a weird way to put it. Passage 1. It makes no difference what men think of war, said the judge. War endures. As well, ask men what they think of stone. War was always here. Before man was, war waited for him. The ultimate trade awaiting its ultimate practitioner. That is the way it was and will be. That's 1. Passage 2. The boy asked his grandfather why the old church had no roof. The old man said, weather and time and indifference. The boy asked if someone could fix it. The grandfather said yes, but no one would. Things were built and things fell down, and mostly people just stepped over the rubble on their way to somewhere else. They're both a bit clumsy, but I'm going to go for this. This is written by a human, Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, one of my favourite authors. That's a good, I managed to nail it. However, 43% of readers chose this option. The remaining 57% of people chose the passage that was written by Opus 4.5. This is fun. Fantasy. Okay, this is one of my favourite genres, so let's go with this. The healers teach that every remedy extracts its cost. A fever brought down will rise again somewhere. A wound closed by magic leaves its scar on the world, invisible but present. This is why the wise hesitate. Not from cruelty, but from understanding, and that interference ripples outwards in ways we cannot trace. To cure a blight may curse a harvest 3 valleys over. Power is not the difficult thing. Restraint is the difficult thing. Passage 2. You must not change one thing, one pebble, one grain of sand, until you know what good and evil will follow on that act. The world is in balance, in equilibrium. A wizard's power of changing and of summoning can shake the balance of the world. Okay, so what it's saying is which one do you like best? Don't try and guess if it's AI or not. I think this one might be AI. I also prefer it. Okay, it is. It's Opus 4.5. And the other one is Ursula K. Le Guin. Okay, so the other one is A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin, and I feel bad about that. Let's do one more. This is fun. Science writing. Passage 1. There is something astonishing in the fact that we are made of matter forged in dying stars. That the calcium in our bones was created in stellar furnaces billions of years before Earth existed. I think this is Carl Sagan. The universe is not indifferent to us. We are made of it, continuous with it. To understand this is not to feel small, it is to feel implicated in something vast. I think that's Carl Sagan. Science is not only compatible with spirituality, it is a profound source of spirituality. When we recognize our place in an immensity of light years and in the passage of ages, when we grasp the intricacy, beauty and subtlety of life, then that's when feeling, that sense of elation and humility combined is surely spiritual. That's passage 2. I'm going to go with passage 1. So I chose passage 1. Reading it, I thought it was Carl Sagan. 67% of readers chose this option. 67% of people, so 2/3 of people said that this is the best one. That is written by Anthropic's Claude, Opus 4.5. I thought it was Carl Sagan. The second passage 2 is written by Carl Sagan from the demon-haunted world. Right, this is very upsetting. Some people will say, okay, that's because they've told it to write in the style of Carl Sagan, and it has absolutely nailed it, which it has, because I thought that was Carl Sagan. Yes, true, and it's trained on all of these books. It is trained on people's work, without permission, for the most part, 100%. Right now, 67% of readers, including me, 86,000, maybe 100,000 people have clicked on this passage because they preferred how it was written. And it was written by Opus 4.5, not by Carl Sagan. That is where we are right now. So regardless of the ethics, regardless of what you think about how we got here, that is the reality right now, is that the AI can write something that 2/3 of people prefer. It can do that 100 times faster, 1,000 times faster. It can produce more content than human beings. It can flood publications like the New York Times. There is no reason to have the humans write if we can do this faster and if we can do this better, if we can do this at a quality that human beings actually prefer to the human written passage. That is where we are right now. I'm going to put this quiz into the newsletter because you should all take it. Or if you're on the live right now, if you just search who's a better writer, AI or humans, take our quiz, because this is mind-blowing. And the fact that I thought passage 1 here was Carl Sagan because I recognize his writing style, and it was not, whereas the other one was, and I did not click it. Upsetting. The fact that I chose the fantasy novel, which was written by Opus, not the one by Ursula K. Le Guin, is also a bit upsetting. But this is where we are. This is the reality of the situation. So I highly recommend you go and try this yourself, because that is wild. Absolutely wild. And I'm shocked. Newsletter. Totally free. Come over to aiwithkyle.com. There's a bunch of resources that you're going to get alongside the 5-day AI challenge course readiness, the 100 playbook library, the daily newsletter with a summary of what's been going on. When I do a longer form presentation, I'll give you the slide deck. I will give you a written rundown, and I'll give you a Wikipedia guide so you can enact it without having to watch through the whole live stream. If you do watching me though, head over to TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I have content on all those places, as well as subscribing to the free newsletter at aiwithkyle.com. We are getting a lot of yesterday, nearly 300 subscribers in one day. So thank you guys. Really cool. Thank you so much. I will be back. I'm probably going to cover Claude Code, the big boy. I've been putting it off again, but because I use Claude Code every day, every time I open up Claude Code, I'm like, I'm going to have to teach this, aren't I? So we'll do an introduction to Claude Code, I promise. Okay, I've just dedicated myself to it now, because Claude Code is the big boy, and I need to do it justice. Tune in and see if I make a mess of that. Thank you, and I will see you